I gotta film this. Because I'm.
That's all right.
We're doing ozone today. What's the difference between this and the blood one, by the way?
Oh, Lord. We're not doing ozone. You're doing ozone, and I'm watching.
He's watching.
The difference is you're doing direct vein ozone.
Okay, direct vein
instead
ozone.
of a pass system. And I'm not doing
Okay.
it, he's doing it, and I'm watching.
Okay, he's our coach.
I'm coaching him through it. That's fair.
What's your name? Say your name.
My name's Larry. Larry Arnold.
This is Larry.
Here I am.
I got two of my buddies, Tim and Alex.
Light therapy.
So let's talk about red light therapy. Now I've got you on. I want to know more about this because this is what a lot of people ask me.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the question was,
Why does red light therapy accelerate fat burn?
how does it accelerate fat burn? Okay, so again, light waves are all measured in nanometers. Nanometers are measurement increments like millimeters or centimeters. White light, for an example, is at 0 nanometers. So it will stop and bounce off of your skin. So its efficacy is at the skin. It will cook your skin. The next nanometer below that will be 1 nanometer, and then 2, so forth and so on. Red starts at 600 nanometers, or just below the surface of the skin. So that white light has been taken away. The red goes through the skin and isn't efficacious at all until it's at 600 nanometers. So at 600 and below is where we start breaking down below the dermis. The fat layer on the average person is between 635 to 645 nanometers deep. So if you pick a nanometer light that's 630 to 640 or 635 to 645 nanometers deep, its active ability will be at your fat level, at your fat layer. Now, this is where it gets tricky. So here's the art. You might get a really fat guy, and maybe his fat layer is from 630 to 660. So you could use all of these different nanometers depending on the thickness of the fat that you're trying to burn. But on average, our fat layer starts at 635 to 645 nanometers. So that light, that same red light that you hope would be good for your acne, it's going right past your acne. It's activating your fat cells, which in turn, if left there long enough, could actually cause those fat cells to bubble right out and make your acne worse. So that's why some people will come out of red light and say, it didn't work, it made my acne worse. No. You used the wrong light for what you wanted. Transversely, I could use a 630 nanometer light. It's designed specifically for on the skin surface, so it would turn off the inflammation from acne. But if I leave it on too long, what the light does is it helps the entire life cycle or process continue. So I could turn that inflammation off and leave the light there long enough just to spark it back up again. So knowing the difference between which nanometer you're using as well as the treatment times on each level, that becomes the art. The science is definite and proven. The art is which nanometers and how long. So back to that same example, an acne treatment would be 630. The fat is 635 to 640.
So when the light reaches the fat, what is it doing to it?
The same thing that light would do to anything that it reaches. It will make it grow and develop. And so a fat cell is trying to grow and develop. And so if you gave it light, which it will never get because it's underneath your skin, then it would grow and develop like a plant or a child or anything else that got light. So now these fat cells continue to grow with this light. Within 8 minutes, 90% of the fat from each individual cell that the light touched will be released into your bloodstream. So the red light doesn't burn fat. It releases the fat into your bloodstream. You now have 72 hours to do cardio, in which case 50% more body fat will be burned over a 6-week period of time if you do your work right after.
You do it once
Wow.
You can do it whenever you want. Anytime you expose your fat. So
that's why earlier
cells,
you said 8 minutes before cardio.
So 8 minutes, precisely 8 minutes is just enough that any fat cells that are exposed, they can't do anymore, right? Those fat cells have been released. You can go now and burn those off if you want. New fat cells are now available because those fat cells are empty and out of the way. You can do this as often as you want, and categorically it works because it's the Ronco rotisserie grill. They used to have the red lights right up here, the meat would spin, and those juices would just be moist on the inside because the red light's cooking the meat from the inside instead of searing the outside, which is what white light does. So it's just a light effect. It's not some magical thing that light does. Light has effect on whatever cell it touches. Your inner cells won't get light because white will usually block it. Red, all the way down into infrareds.
You would do it without clothes on. You do it skin to light, right?
Usually, yes, if what you want is some of the skin effects. You don't have to. Because of the systemic effects, you could do just your hand. And if we did your hand long enough, because all of your blood will eventually circulate through your hand, you would get the same pain relief throughout the rest of your body because your blood has now been basically photo-cleansed or photobiomodulated. You would get the same effects systemically, but you wouldn't get the same skin effects. I like the skin effects because the side effects of skin tightening, fat loss, and all these other things are just side effects, but they're the reason most people are interested in red light, right? I could go, let's just get it into your bloodstream, and then you'll be healthier. Yeah, but who doesn't want less stretch marks and tighter skin and no inflammation as well?
Yeah.
Are there two types? There's the infrared and there's the red light. Are there two types of red or just the same?
No, they're the same. We were discussing nanometers. So nanometers will change the color of the light that you see and how it reflects in the prism. So as we get into infrared, we're just getting higher on the nano, or deeper on the nanometer
The
scale.
infrared's deeper?
Infrared is much deeper. So the reds go, they start at 600, like I said, and they get deeper and deeper up into 660s, 680s, 700s, 800s. By the time you get to 1200s, we're now at infrared.
Oh.
You can't see it, but it's an infrared sauna. So infrared saunas have nothing to do with heat, they have completely to do with light.
Right,
We've got
right.
light that's so thin now that it's getting through to your organs. Once your organs start to get activated, but now you're getting warm. I'm getting warm. It's not getting you hot. Your organs are now getting light on them, which they've never had. They're kind of cooking in a way, but at a very low rate.
Wow.
10
Okay.
minutes?
No,
Is good?
all treatment times are different,
Yeah.
depending on which nanometers you're using and what your goals are.
I see.
So you can't go with a blanket, because if you're trying to get inside and heal your spleen, or if you're trying to get inside and do some deep tissue or deep shoulder or joint work, it's the infrared that we're really interested in at that point. And so that might take 20, 30 minutes, because you're trying to do a deep healing. If you're trying to get rid of acne, 2 minutes in the red and get out of there. Everything else is going to make the acne problem worse. You'll feel a lot better, but now you're bubbling all this, you really want this inflammation gone. So understanding the nanometers as well as what you're trying to treat.
So
That's the art.
fat activation, 8 minutes?
Fat activation is going to be 8 minutes. Yep.
Man, this is fascinating. Thank you, Coach Larry.
Anytime.
I love it. We'll put all of your info in our post on this one. So there you go. I've got a little bit left. It's one little mark per every 20 seconds, right, on my ozone. What's the 10 seconds on ozone, just so everybody
10
knows?
seconds on ozone. It will kill 90 to 95% of all bacteria and diseases in the blood. That's the best thing about it. It'll also get rid of pain and inflammation.
There you go. The
It's
fast,
basically
easy
blood
way.
doping. You ever heard of blood doping, Tour de France?
Yep.
What they do is they get off the cycle, they go into their room, they take their blood out, put ozone in it, put it back in. So it's over-oxygenating the blood.
Yep.
It's called blood doping. It's just CO3 instead of CO2.
There you go. Man, I love it. I'm blood doping and getting a tutorial on red light therapy. Here we go.
There you go.
Thanks, Coach Larry.